another record closing high for the JSE.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful to see. 34,000.
And high volumes as well.
16 billion is not to be sniffed at. In normal days, about 12, so that's firmly above, which is nice. And I guess where to from here is a very important question to ask.
Yeah, so where to
and
from
everybody
here,
wants to know: are we going to see further upside, or are we going to see another market pullback? Very difficult one to answer. I think we're all on tenterhooks at the moment, and the reason why I'm saying that is that we've still got this dark cloud of Greece over our heads, as well as Portugal, and I think that does dampen your spirits when you see the markets at 34.5.
A bit of light though coming through from China, saying it wants to contribute.
Well, they've been trying to do a deal with China for ages to try and help out, bail out Europe, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I think the shining light really has been the last 4 months of just positive news flow out of America and out of China, and no major worsening of the economic situation in Europe at the moment. And there's so much money out there, so much liquidity, so much money being pumped into the market. It has to go somewhere. So that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
So let's delve into some of the big news stories.
Yes.
So Sasol for the 6 months.
Okay, we're going to talk about Sasol first.
Okay, well, let's do Glencore. Let's do Glencore Xstrata because
Glencore
it is quite important.
That's a big one.
Hey,
that's really massive. Well, I mean, everybody knows, they've probably read already that those two are wanting to merge together. In fact, it comes from Glencore's point of view. And even though we haven't seen a complete reaction on our markets, if you have a look at Anglo American's share price move compared to Billiton, it's very interesting to note.
It was almost like an expected scenario to play out between the two companies.
Well, what actually happened, if we can push our mind back to 2008, Xstrata tried to buy out Anglo's back then, and there was speculation of that. Now with Glencore merging with Xstrata, you playing out the idea that an even bigger company might still try and buy Anglo's and then break it up, because Anglo's is worth a hell of a lot more broken apart than in one unit. So I'm sure we saw some kind of a speculation from that perspective coming through. But I was checking today, Xstrata share price up 10%, so the Xstrata shareholder should be smiling.
But also just looking at the competition side of things as well, we know that competition authorities are quite strict, just looking at what happened with the stock exchanges.
Well, that'll be a big thing to push through, because at the moment it's Glencore, Xstrata, Rio Tinto, Billiton, Anglo's. Those are the big boys in the market at the moment. Now, if Glencore is going to take over Xstrata, that'll leave about 3 or 4 major players, and if Glencore and Xstrata want to take over Anglo's, that'll also be quite a stretch to do. But you never know, these things do happen. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Okay, so let's touch on Sasol
Okay,
now.
here we go, to Sasol.
6 months to the end of December, headline earnings per share expected to increase by as much as 90%.
Yeah, that was quite interesting, because it was 45% in around about November last year, and then they've concluded, actually no guys, it's 90%, and that's really good to see. The share price has been creeping up way before then, above 400 Rand a share now, but
sitting at 407, it's only up just over 1% today. So markets probably just anticipated a movement like this.
But since November, it's up like 10%. So it's kind of, I think, not some insider info there, but I think the expectation was, the Rand has really weakened and the oil prices remain very, very steady. That's certainly playing a huge factor in there.
A number very close to 90% should warrant very big improvement on the share price.
Correct, it could, but the share price has improved very nicely from 300 to 407 Rand in a matter of no time.
So is it a buy for you at 407?
It's difficult to spend that kind of money on Sasol at these levels. I think we've still got in the back of our minds, these debt issues that haven't gone away, and that can really change the picture, regardless of how well the company is doing. It's a sentiment thing you need to understand. So 407 Rand is a little bit rich in my books at the moment to spend on Sasol.
I'm just watching these platinum miners, and Impala Platinum is down 2.5%, and still troubles with illegal strikes and firing of workers.
Well, it's 13,000, but if you look at the total, it's 17,000 people they have let go. That's a massive amount of people, and Rustenburg's one of the biggest mines at the moment, so to have so many people not working for you is a disastrous thing at the moment.
Absolutely, and we know they're losing about 3,000 ounces a day there. Anglo Platinum, however, is going to buy assets from Anorak, 1.7 billion Rand.
Well, they need to do that to get their money back. Don't forget, they've lent Anorak about 2 billion or 3 billion Rand, so on. So it's just an indirect method of saying, this is one way we can get some of our money back and also improve our BE credentials. But it's a nice little mine, and it's interesting to see Anglo Platinum taking a forward look there and then trying to get things going, because that's the problem with these smaller mines in the platinum sector, is the financing that they need to actually produce the end product at the end of the day and really ramp it up. So with Anglo Platinum involved there, you've seen how the Anorak share price has performed. I think it was up 15%, 4.60 or something like that. So it's definitely beneficial for them. And I guess for Anglo Platinum, it's a very small part, but I'm sure it'll help them at the end of the day.
Let's touch on Axara as well, and the deal with African Iron.
Well, that's going to go through now. They've offered, I think, 57 Australian cents.
If 51 cents,
It's 51, and if they take over 75% of the business, there's that little kicker that it shoots it up to 57. The idea is to try and get a controlling interest in African Iron. It's a lovely little iron ore project. It hasn't been fully developed yet. For those that don't know, it's in the Republic of Congo. It's very, very close to the surface iron ore.
Do you want to be in iron ore right now?
Oh yes, you really want to be in iron ore right
so
now.
I suppose you also like Kumbaya iron ore.
I love Kumbaya iron ore. It's been a very, very good stock to us actually, and a wonderful return on capital there. Iron ore is where you want to be. Coal and oil, those are the major resources at the moment.
And banks?
Banks, I'm not there yet. I really am not. I mean, I know they're starting to tick up with the liquidity. It's trying to find a home, and some of the value players are starting to have a look at the banks at the moment. We've seen the banking sector up quite nicely. I still think personally that banks are under pressure. We've got a lot of data though that points to the sector that banks are in not really recovering until at least 2013 to 2014. So I think the decision
Absa trading updates, the headline earnings per share could be up by as much as 20%.
Yes.
Not such a bad number.
Not such a bad number, off a very, very low base at the moment, but it's just not enough for me to really go forward and put some money into banks. Again, I stick to my guns, Capitec and African Bank. Those are the two that I would be looking at.
Well,
at the
actually,
moment.
the unsecured lending space, that's been growing quite
well, that's where banks make their money, we need to understand. If you look at the margin, it's the unsecured lending.
It's growing 30% year on year.
Correct. So banks don't make money from mortgages and lending up money to people that buy cars. They make money by credit cards and lending you these 100,000 Rand letters you get in the post where you can get easy access to capital. That's where the margin is. African Bank and Capitec are specializing in that field. They're the guys making the money. Those are the shares that you would like to consider.
Nicholas, also just very quickly, looking at the industrial space, overall the industrial sector.
Correct.
That's really been driving our market, despite the fact that resources have a stronger weighting.
Correct. Resources have got a long way to go if you have a look at where the index was when the market was a high in 2007. So yes, it's South African breweries, it's Naspers, it's Richemont that have really been pushing that industrial space. But you've had a look at Barlow World, Roynet, Hudeco, even Grindrod starting to turn at some very, very low levels and looking very, very good at the moment. So it is, I agree with you, but I still think some life there at the moment.